On Deck has delivered over $5 billion in loans, and having earned an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, it's no wonder why 9 out of 10 customers would recommend On Deck to a friend. There's no obligation, and you could receive a loan decision in minutes and funding in as fast as 1 business day. Over 50,000 small businesses have already received the loans they needed, and so could you.
Speak with our U.S.-based loan specialists and find out how much you qualify for now at OnDeckLending.com or call 800-367-2200. That's 800-367-2200. 800-367-2200.
All right, welcome to yet another great edition of Younger Life Live, brought to you today by the LaPorte Hospital. I'm Rick Federici.
And I'm Mary Anthony.
Happy Halloween.
I know, happy Halloween. And that's right. I love Halloween.
So do I.
You know, fall is my favorite, so I love Halloween. Although it's been a little bit of tricks this morning for me. I had a flat tire, and
that's
right
not
when
a
I
good
came
one.
out. Yeah, it's a rough start to the day, but that's okay. We got it out of the way. The rest of the day will be treats only, right?
Can I one up this and say a skunk ran in front of me this morning and by
Really?
my house, right in front of me? I'm like,
in front of you walking?
Yeah, as I was walking to my car.
Thank God you didn't get sprayed, or we would have known it right when we walked in the building.
We would have said the toilet is not good today. Rick Federici. So we have our great friends, Guy Fisher and Debbie Coble, back here. Good to see you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
People. You know, I feel I was saying this as we were rolling out of the radio show on WIMS, AM 1420, our radio partner, that I feel like I'm not dressed enough, and you look great today too. What is going on today?
Well,
you guys all look awesome.
No, these guys always look good.
They
though.
do.
You know, they always are dressed so nice. We're a little more casual. We're radio people.
Right.
So
or
we're
my
a little
friends,
more.
all my friends in radio and TV in Chicago for all those years, a lot of them, this is true. They still do it to this day, where they would wear the coat and the tie up, and they would wear shorts on
I
the
love
bottom.
it. I remember you saying that,
Right.
and I love that. I think
it's so
that's
great.
so funny because I can absolutely understand that. It's a little different when we're on Younger Life Live because we are streamed on webcams. So it's a little different. We have to make sure that we're not in jammy pants or something. But
we also have to make sure that the bathroom door is closed behind our guests, because that's the first thing that your husband pointed out in earlier episodes.
Very early,
earlier
right?
in 2016.
Right. As we were learning, right?
Yes,
We're
yes.
learning.
Well, it's not our fault. We just blame the executive producer. Not Sanders
funny.
either, because he's our executive producer today. So let's go over to the other side of the room and talk to Guy Fisher and Debbie Coble. Great to see you guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. Great to see you guys.
It's so nice.
I know. And you know, this is such a great time of year to talk about Goodwill. We all know about Goodwill, but I think a lot of people don't realize how much Goodwill really does for our community. And not only that, there are really cool events going on, and one we'll talk about that's later this week, you know. So if you wouldn't mind, would you start by telling us a little bit about what you do at Goodwill and how long you've been there?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I do whatever she tells me to do.
Yeah. There
You
go.
all heard that.
Yeah, you have proof.
And it's going on 3 years, so hopefully after that it'll be a little bit longer.
Yeah, I see. I like that. I like that.
Okay, so I'm Vice President of Mission Advancement, and my role really is to go out and connect with the community, to see what opportunities are out there, what needs are out there, and then be able to see how Goodwill can step in and meet those needs. Connecting with businesses, with business partners to help do some of the things that we do and get the resourcing behind that to make it happen.
Fantastic.
I get to cause all the problems.
Yeah. And by the way, you still will have your kid when we're done. 'Cause you guys are a great team.
No, I have been blessed to be the president and CEO. It'll be 3 years next month.
Wow.
And so, but have been with Goodwill for almost 27 years.
Oh, wow.
And actually started out as a store manager, and then I moved into the mission of getting to work with people to see them fulfill their dreams of going to work and being what they want to be. I say when they grow up, but you know. And so then through all that time, then when our president of 40 years retired and the board did their search, I'm blessed that they decided the homegrown girl was the best option in their opinion. So
Well, someone with the experience, the knowledge, the intelligence, someone that's a team player, and you get it. So that's what I dig. And I have seen this firsthand for the last decade plus in owning the radio station. So they have been a phenomenal part of me in Goodwill. And I know you and I just really dig because there's so many legs. I call it the giant spider with all the legs.
There really are.
Truly so many things that they do for the community.
The spider's a cute analogy on
Thank
Halloween.
you, on Halloween.
I like it. But it's very, very true. There's so much. It's almost layers we could just pick apart as far as Goodwill because there's so many things that you guys really do and are involved with. You know, I like you say the mission of people finding out who they are. You know, that recently had a discussion and my kids' Sunday school about vocations and really whatever your calling is in life, it doesn't matter. But, you know, Goodwill plays a key role in helping some of these people find that. And I think that's amazing. And I think that would be very touching to start from the bottom and then really see that, you know, this isn't just a job. The store manager might have started out that way, but clearly this has turned so this is who you are. And I think that's fantastic. So how long has Goodwill been around in existence?
Well, we actually was started in Boston in 1902, but our local Goodwill we're celebrating our 80th anniversary this year.
Incredible.
So we started in South Bend, and then it was in the mid 90s then when we had the opportunity to come over to LaPorte County. And so we've been providing services here ever since the mid 90s. So
That is absolutely phenomenal. You look at some of the things that have evolved over the last 27 years, and I know you and Guy do a lot of great projects, but we have chatted here in studio about the Excel Center. Can we get just a quick update on what's going on with the Excel Center, if you guys wouldn't mind? Because to me, that is so positive.
Well, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. Could you tell us what it is first for those people that maybe didn't join us on our first time around?
So the Excel Center is a high school program for adults, but what makes it different is this is an Indiana Core 40 diploma that the adult student will receive. The common theme, I guess, at our Excel Center is everybody started their high school opportunity years ago, and for whatever reason they never finished. And so now they realize that, gosh, if we really want to take these next steps, whether it's for better financial security for our families, to set a good example for our kids who we're saying you need to stay in school, then it gives us an opportunity to be able to have those adults come back in. So we have 365 students right now that are enrolled in our Excel Center in South Bend. We just graduated our first class this past spring. We had 7 folks that finished up their degree. We have, I think, 9 or 10 that are on track to graduate this December. And I think we have almost 30 that are set up for then, 20 to 30 for the next, for springtime. So we're seeing this ball really rolling. And it's neat to walk through the building to see students who are engaged. And as I said, this is different than a GED program or a high school equivalency. The cool thing is we'll find out here in a little over a month, under a month now. We're almost in November, aren't we?
yes,
Whether
Tomorrow.
or not tomorrow.
22 days.
Yeah, no
Crazy.
kidding. Where we're at with some additional Excel centers that we would like to open
really?
over in Gary, Chicago, Hammond area.
That's
So I
great.
mean that's exciting and just life changing for so many people if we get a chance to do this.
Absolutely. Can you tell us, I'm curious to know, I know it's an adult program, but can you tell us the age ranges of the students?
So we go 18 and older. So we're not competing with the traditional school system. That is our goal, not to be in competition. We are a complement. We're there for the students who didn't make it the first time. We go up to, I think, 63 right now as
Really?
our oldest student. The average age is about 27 or so. And we find that that's kind of the sweet spot, because if you're 18, 19 and you want to come back into the Excel Center, because of the intensity of the program, it's not a piece of cake. You've got to work to get through, because nothing has changed. The expectations to graduate, to pass your exams, to finish those requirements are the same. But now you're also balancing family obligations and job obligations, the rest of it. So our 18, 19-year-olds, they don't typically do as well as that 27, 28-year-old does.
They aren't ready.
Well, and I
You know,
think
to
too, you're now in a position in life knowing that it's now up to you.
Right.
You might have been in a situation leading into this period of your life where it was a little different, let's just say. Different circumstances. Now you understand, but the help, I think, and the wherewithal, it's there, and you know that the mission and the focus will be to get to that next level.
Yes.
That is so incredible because now you take them from graduating into getting them back into the world, for lack of a better word. It would make them better people.
Well, that
more money,
confidence.
everything.
Yeah, that confidence.
Exactly.
I mean, I
Exactly.
can't imagine feeling like you've got this issue no matter what. You go to look for a job and that would be discouraging. I'm sure it's hard to dedicate yourself to something like that when you feel like, oh, I never finished, and you might not want to tell people. This is awesome because I love that it is it's very much the regular high school. I love that. But I also love that being all adults that you say, even people as far as in their 60s, it's not too late. You can always go back and get it. And the people there are like-minded. I imagine they probably are very supportive to one another because they're in similar situations. So I think that's what's so unique about the Excel Center. I love the aspect. And there's childcare. We talked about that
There
before,
is.
right?
Yes, so we have on-site childcare. We are, actually we have a wonderful problem we're solving right now.
And what is that?
The problem is we saw a peak of 50 kids. So,
Wow.
yes. Now, this was a week when the school system was on break, but there weren't that many, because we go up to age 7 when school's not in session. But we are seeing in the 40s on a regular basis of parents who are able to take advantage of this. So we're really strategizing, how do we care for this? Because, we could go out and hire more staff, but we're literally running out of room in the building to make sure the children are, we can care for them properly. And the kids also get a program while they're in there. They're not just, they're playing, but it's play for learning. Rose, our director of the drop-in center, she is very concerned and has a program that she runs where it really works on the vocabulary of the skills of the kids so that they are at that level they need to be to start setting them up for success when they enter into school. And then for the adults, the other thing that I think that makes us so successful is the life coach. So when you enroll, you're automatically assigned to a life coach who is your guidance counselor / social worker. Because we know that whatever tripped you up the first time is more than likely still in your life, as well as you've added a few things. Haven't we all added a few things since high school that are in our lives
I'm gonna
distracting
go
us?
with weight.
That too.
Yeah. So the life coach walks side by side with you and literally keeps an eye on you to make sure that you are walking down that journey and walks with you. And if we start to see something that's concerning, boom, we're there. And the teachers and the life coaches, they meet on a regular basis to make sure students are on that path. And if they're starting to stray, how do we help them get back on there as quickly as possible so they don't fall off again? So it's wonderful.
That's fantastic.
One of the things I wanted to throw out there too, we mentioned South Bend, we mentioned Lake County, there's Michigan City, there's LaPorte, and we're just talking about a centralized area of Northwest Indiana. The South Bend facility is so magical and unbelievable when it comes to what is there, the square footage, and you walk in there and around every corner, there's a different story. It truly, I love it. And Guy was gracious enough to give me a tour. But when you go on this tour, your eyes just open up because of the jobs that are there for the folks. You see things working in motion. Talk a little bit about that facility because quite honestly, is that considered corporate around here? Like the South Bend facility? Is that's
That's headquarters. That's
Yeah.
what
That's
we
headquarters,
Yeah.
exactly.
It is.
Well, I imagine the tour would
Incredible.
allow you to see that direct impact, as far as in the community, because you're really seeing a little piece of all of it, I
Everything.
imagine. Tell us about the tour. That's cool. I didn't realize. Do you guys offer tours or just Rick took a tour?
Well, Rick took a tour.
Rick's special.
We took Rick everywhere. We
Yeah.
tried to keep him a couple spots. He just kept on finding his way.
Yeah.
So our facility is all 3 acres, a little bit more than 3 acres under roof,
Wow.
and so it's a pretty large footprint there on the west side of
that's big.
South Bend. And then we also have another building attached to that called Industrial Services, where we do really kind of more of a manufacturing feel, assembly work, and we work with different companies and doing odd jobs for them. But it's really a training ground for our people to be able to come into the workshops, sit in classes, kind of understand what they're facing and work through those things. But then we get to test drive them out there in that spot. But we are doing now a tour called More Than a Store. Rick, you haven't done this one.
I haven't.
So,
Okay.
Well, we should go back together.
That sounds
Exactly.
with the
interesting.
camera
Yes.
crew.
That would be great.
And More Than a Store is really telling the stories of goodwill, telling the impact of the lives that we touch with the goodwill programming, and just seeing how all those things interact. And so when you donate to us, when you shop at our stores, when you interact with us on the business side, the retail side of the coin, how that really flows down through and impacts so many lives. So yeah, we'd love to have you come on back over. And really anybody that would like to come do a More Than a Store tour, we have them dates set up, and they can reach out to me at Goodwill, and we'd love to get them on the calendar and have them be guests for that day.
You would love that.
I think that's great. Could you tell us how they can get in touch with you to take that tour?
Best way is to email me, and it's gfisher@goodwill-ni.org.
Okay.
Absolutely wonderful. Of course, your Younger Life Live, Rick Federici, Mary Anthony. YouTube.com is a great way to scope it out. It's Younger Life, one word, a little space, and then live. And then, of course, our radio partner, AM 1420, WIMS, today's broadcast presentation brought to you by the LaPorte Hospital. Our executive producer is Sanders, and our great guest, Debbie Coble, and of course, Guy Fisher from Goodwill. We absolutely love having him in studio.
Yep, we do. You know, Guy, you mentioned the donations. I wanted to get out there. I want people to know what happens when they donate goods, and why is it important that we do that?
Well, that's our lifeblood. That's what we do. 100 plus years ago, when Edgar Helms, our founder, started the Goodwill mindset, it really was about taking items that were being given to him to at first give away to people. And he realized that wasn't working. We need to get people skill sets and be able to have them become employed. So those items, as they were then donated, were used to learn how to mend clothing, learn how to repair furniture, and then sold back in to the community of Boston. And jobs were created because of that. And so that model for Goodwill really does the same thing 100 plus years later. But yeah, donations are our lifeblood. And so we really are very good stewards with the items that are given to us. 87 cents of every dollar that we bring into Goodwill hits mission. So think
Wow.
about
That is an incredible number.
That's fantastic. Wow.
And we're intentional about that. We monitor that on a monthly basis to make sure that our costs are where they need to be at, so that we truly are driving back to the mission of helping people.
Wow.
I love it.
It's amazing.
We were chatting about a big event that's coming
Yes.
up later this week, and I'm really excited about this because we are all involved with this little black dress event.
Well,
now, this is-
we're all involved on different levels. Rick's involved in a whole different
Wait,
level.
you razzing me on this one, young one?
I
or
love
what?
it. We have a celebrity model right here with us, and I
Yeah.
love that. I think
A legend in
it's
his own
fantastic.
mind.
I think it's great. I know you've done this before.
Okay.
Practice your turn.
There you go. Okay.
See, look. No, Kathy Friend.
I love it.
Who we just had on the air not too long ago. She is just a fashionista, and she's just unbelievable. I go down the runway, and I'm with all these wonderful, wonderful models, and of all different, from the youngest to the wisest of years.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a guy, so I'm strutting it, and I just want to dance with the women.
I think
that's
that's
and I'm just like,
awesome.
come on, raise money.
I
woo!"
think it's awesome. So this is called the Little Black Dress
Yep.
event,
It
right?
is, yes.
How many years has this been going on?
So for the one that we'll be having in Maryville, this is our 4th year to do
Okay.
that. We've been doing it a few more years in South Bend. And last year we actually started one in Warsaw. So we're doing 3 of them
Wow.
a year now. So
Awesome.
And it really is. It's a wonderful of bringing everything together. Kathy puts the show together. All of the clothes come from our stores, are the best of our best. And then they're modeled. And then as Rick said, those are available for the public to buy. If you buy a ticket, you have to buy a ticket to get to the store. And then everything in the boutique is 50% off. So this is all name brand, top of the line stuff that's been gone through and picked out just for the event. It's
Yeah.
absolutely
It's really unreal.
phenomenal. And then once again, it's our chance to talk about mission again. So that folks understand our stores are the revenue stream to our programming. It's the lion's share of what pays for what we get to do in working with truly our neediest citizens in our communities. So
I think it's great. So it's this Thursday. The Maryville one's this
Yes.
Thursday.
It's
Yes.
at the Avalon Banquet Facility, And if folks want to jump aboard I-65 to US 30, we have all the information under the events tab on WIMSradio.com, Facebook, Twitter. And, it's going to be a great time because you could shop before, great lunch, involve yourself in the program, shop afterward. It's a wonderful way to spend an early part of the day. And it's all for a great cause. And everybody's happy. Everybody's energized.
I think that's awesome.
It's a good feeling.
Can you tell us, Debbie, what the proceeds go towards?
The proceeds will go towards missions. So
Just right back in.
They go right
wow.
back into it. So to help, once again, just, here in LaPorte County, we're working with individuals with disabilities. We're helping with the ex-offenders. We're working with at-risk youth to help them stay on the straight and narrow so that they're getting, they don't need to come see us as adults.
Yes.
Right.
And so, whether it's that or whether it's our first-time moms program, our individuals who are wanting to get out of gangs. I mean, we truly work with the neediest individuals, and that's going to go to support those programs.
How can we get tickets if
So,
someone's interested?
GoodwillFashionShow.com.
Oh, okay.
Nice
Real
and
easy.
simple and
That
easy.
is
So,
simple.
we're
That's
pretty
nice.
simple-minded around
I
here.
love that. It works. I mean, clearly this has been over 100 years.
So,
I think
yes.
it's a great concept, and Goodwill does so much right here that people just
I wanted to throw
don't
this
even
out
know.
there too. If you want to really have some fun at work, take your colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how big or small. Men, you can go because Guy Fisher and Rick Federici will be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but we do have a plethora of folks that join us, and it really is a fun time. And it's a fast-paced show. So you shop, you eat, you see the show, then you shop more.
That's right.
It's really that fun.
And you eat, too, because it's a
Totally.
full lunch. It
How
is-
long does it go for someone that might be saying, hey, let's take the afternoon off and go together?
Doors open at 10 to
Okay.
shop the boutique. So 10 to 11:30 they're open. We do shut down during the fashion
Mm-hmm.
show. Opens back up at 1, and we'll be open till around 3-ish. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So,
great. That would be a great day outing,
It is. It
That's
is.
really neat.
So-
Great idea. There are so many great programs. Where can people go to find out more information about really all the programs that you have to offer?
www.goodwill-ni.org. And then we also have a Facebook page, Goodwill of Michiana. So jump out there. The Goodwill Michiana Facebook page has all those constant things that are hitting. Purple Heart story we did a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely
and just all
stellar.
sorts of things that we do and are getting involved with, and our friends get involved with too. that's
So
the neat part.
coming up in a matter of moments, we're going to have Sheriff Boyd join us, talk about Halloween and other great things. But before they walk out of the studio, I want to get them to say on the record that we're going to be able to do a tour. We'll bring Sanders and the film crew. Do we have your permission to
You
come
have
by?
our permission.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This
I
be
would love
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Hey, and Rick, if
Sure.
you don't have that Halloween costume, shop Goodwill.
I was going to ask you
my
about that
gosh.
being
Shop
Halloween.
Goodwill.
Do you?
So,
is
yes.
there a good?
Oh, we have a department set up just for it. So if
That's
you need
so
that
neat.
last minute costume, come see us.
You know what? I have to say, last year we did that. Last second, my daughter, my oldest daughter at the time was 15. Her and her best friend, wishy-washy. We are too old to trick or treat, but because I have younger kids too, she's the oldest. She said, "Well, we'll walk with the little ones."
Yes.
So they decided to be Siamese twins. So we went to Goodwill intentionally to find something that we could create a costume
Sure.
around, and it was a
Exactly.
blast. And what was nice about it is we bought a few different things, so they wouldn't have to try stuff on at the store, and said we'll just buy all this and make it work, and it was still cheaper than buying a costume at the store.
Exactly.
So it
Yep.
was wonderful,
Yes.
and the kids laughed. It was a great time, and I had so many people say, "Genius, that was genius!" But there are actual costumes too at
yes.
Goodwill, and how neat.
Awesome. Well, to Sue and the crew and Kathy and, of course, your team of professionals, we thank all of them and you guys for doing what you do for our community. We love working with you. And if you'd like a list of the stores too, we got a direct link to the website on WIMSradio.com, our radio partner. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us
Thanks
today.
for coming
we
in.
want you back.
Thank
And then
you.
I think next time we're going to you.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Sounds
That'd be
great.
great.
Thanks. God
All right,
bless our
thank you.
veterans. Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a short time out and jump in. And when we come back, we're going to talk Halloween fun stuff. Coming up next, don't go away. Here, Rick Federici, Mary Anthony, and Younger Life Live.
It's one thing to be aware of breast cancer. It's another to do something about it. Here's to the heroes who make pink so much more than a color. Act, donate, get involved at Komen.org/morethanpink.
Goodwill's Little Black Dress Fashion Show is Thursday, November 3rd. Join me, Rick Federici, and stylist and image consultant Kathy Friend at Avalon Manor in Maryville. will enjoy an elegant lunch, a fashion show, and shopping 50% off in the on-site boutique. See the hottest looks for fall and learn how you can wear them as models walk the runway in clothing from Goodwill. The boutique opens at 10, so there's time to shop before the fashion show actually begins. You'll find clothing from casual to elegant, as well as purses and shoes and accessories. Need more time to shop? You got it. After the fashion show, the boutique will reopen, and you'll have a chance to buy the models' outfits as well. For more information, visit GoodwillFashionShow.com or call 866-649-7300. Tickets are $45 and can be purchased online or at your nearest Goodwill retail store. Don't miss the Little Black Dress Fashion Show Thursday, November 3rd at Avalon Manor in Maryville.
Hey guys, watch my new bike trick. Whoa!
Accidents happen. When they do, LaPorte Hospital can help you get on the road to recovery faster. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, we will work to have you initially seen by a medical professional in 30 minutes or less. Less waiting, faster care. The 30 minutes or less ER service pledge at LaPorte Hospital.
We're back with Younger Life Live here with, of course, Rick Federici and Mary Anthony. It's Halloween 2016. Boo.
Boo,
Where were you hiding?
Sure. I was hiding. I was going to jump out and scare you.
You were. Not in front of the sheriff, please.
I wasn't, yeah.
So
How
it is
funny.
so great to be here. Well, thanks to our good partners at Goodwill. And
I know
of
they're
course,
great. They're always
great. We love
fantastic.
them.
And you
Yeah.
know, the little black dress event sounds like it's going to be such a great time. So I'm really hoping to get to go.
Absolutely.
And you're going to be great.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Love it.
Were you nervous the first
love
time?
it.
I have to ask.
No, you know what, Pete? Because you know me, I love crowds.
Yeah.
So, and I'm
It's different though.
It is. You're surrounded by beautiful people. But here's the thing. When you're going down the runway and they want you to like skate along like a model, it's kind of weird because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'd rather dance.
You-
know, I'd rather just,
yeah,
you know,
there you
be
go.
Swag. You know what I mean, Sheriff? You know, you just
No,
like,
actually, I don't know what you mean.
sorry.
Let's stick Sheriff Boyd up there. Let's do
Yes,
that. That'll
no.
be fun.
See,
Oh,
there
come
you go.
on.
Come on.
Let's do that too.
No.
You can dance down the runway with Rick. That would be
Well, it's
fantastic.
funny because you get down the runway and then you turn around and then I just go nuts. I'm like, come on, make some noise.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
like you're breaking, you know,
Yeah, but
Federico's supposed
the
to be-
crowd loves that,
They
though.
do.
They do.
They do.
They love that. So we're so thankful and grateful to you, Sheriff Boyd, for joining us today talking about Halloween safety.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
giving us this venue to talk about safety and help to keep the public that we serve safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Halloween is so much fun. You know, there are, you know, dangers when, you know, you're talking people, a lot of people outside at dark and, you know, kids wearing costumes they don't see as well. It's, you know, there can be lots of accidents. So the safety side is something that I know we all really want to make sure we pay attention to. And, you know, I think that maybe they're just little tips that we don't even think about, you know, that you get out there having a good time. You kind of forget that, oh, maybe your kid's witch costume is dragging the ground and they're going to be falling and hurting themselves, you know, or worse, falling into the road or something.
Right.
You know, it's very scary. So we're fortunate enough. We live kind of out in the country, so those roads, there's really no cars going down them. But I know, you know, every place pretty much is having trick or treat tonight, you know, so there's going to be lots of kids out and there's has to be cars. These are a lot of main roads. There's going to be cars. So can you give us some ideas here, what we could do to maybe at least keep our own kids safe and pay attention for other kids?
Sure. Yeah, there are a lot of really good common sense ideas. First and foremost, you need to make sure your children are visible and you have to be responsible for your children. And it's important to perhaps sit them down because they get so excited running from home to home. And they have the tendency, especially when they meet up with their friends out there and they hear that if you go to such and such a house across the street, they're giving away full-size candy bars.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
But think about it as young kids.
It's so true.
They're all
Absolutely.
like that.
Or you need to avoid that house because they're giving apples or
Yeah.
toothbrushes.
Toothbrushes,
But
yeah.
kids get excited and they dart. And you've got
Yeah.
so many cars that are parked along these residential streets and cars moving kids from point A to point B. And kids have a tendency to get so excited and they dart out. So we encourage everybody, slow down. You should be traveling through these neighborhoods in these communities almost at a crawl. But we ask that parents dress your kids. I know they like to wear dark costumes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It's hard.
Tough. Yeah, maybe get a reflective band to put around their
Around
wrist.
their arm or something.
We see a lot of the glow bracelets that are
Yeah.
incorporated into costumes, which are really great. Or we see perhaps a lighted trick-or-treat lantern that they take where they can put their candy inside that maybe is in.
That's kind of cool.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's in keeping with the costume that they have. I know you can get the reflective bags that will shine if headlights happen to come upon them. Make sure that someone in your group has a flashlight and that you try to keep your group all together. Those are some of the basic hints that we have. We also ask and warn you not to incorporate things like a real candle in a costume. We've seen that before, and we don't want anybody to catch on fire. You know, some of these costumes are highly flammable,
Yes.
Yeah.
especially the ones where they put a lot of hairspray in the hair, that kind of thing. We don't want any tragedies to happen. We want the kids to be able to remember these a night like tonight for the great experiences they've had, not for a tragedy that occurs.
Absolutely.
Can I throw this out there too? We, as parents, and there's a lot of grandparents and folks listening out there, this is, you know, as a father of 2 adult women, but, you know, surrounded by little kids, nieces and nephews and stuff, anybody in my family would never think twice about allowing them to go by themselves. I see children of all different ages, and it kind of scares me as an adult that parents are doing that, or grandparents or babysitters. Can you please give your insight to that, please, Sheriff, about allowing children to go? And I don't care if they're 12 or 15. I think parents should go with their children.
I couldn't agree with you more. As a parent, I echo that, and I'm glad to hear that there are other parents that feel that way. My children sometimes say that we're old-fashioned.
Yes.
But kids of all ages love to go trick-or-treating, including myself. I love not necessarily going to the door, but I love watching the kids' costumes.
Absolutely.
And I get such a kick out of it, and it is a fun time, but you need to be there and make it a family event. That's where you're going to help to keep your kids safer, and you need to know the neighborhoods that your kids are going to.
Good point.
And I also encourage, and this is a great opportunity for us to kind of tout the Sex and Violent Offender Registry. This is a tough time for us. And as a former DARE officer, Mary, you know that we talked about stranger danger in kids grades kindergarten through 4th grade in the elementary schools. And we tell kids never take candy from a stranger, never go to a stranger's home. Yet this is the one night of the year that it's perfectly acceptable.
That we
And
encourage.
our kids to do
Yes.
that.
Right.
Exactly. So what I'm going to ask parents to do, and we've been doing this for the last couple of weeks, and we've done it for the last several years as well. Prior to going out trick-or-treating, map out the trick-or-treat route that you're going to use. Go to the LaPorte County Sheriff's website, or you can do a Google search for Indiana Sex and Violent Offender Registry. Of course, I encourage you to go to LaPorte County Sheriff's website at laportecountysheriff.com, and you'll see on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a menu for Sex and Violent Offender Registry. Click on that, and then you can put on an address. Let's say that you live in the rural area of the county, yet you plan to go to a community. Maybe you're going to go to Hannah, and maybe you're going to go to the subdivisions off of Wozniak Road, and you're going to have a starting point. Usually you know someone in that neighborhood. Just merely put in their address to that particular location, and then you can see that you can draw out the parameters of, you can do a quarter mile, half mile, 1 mile, 2 miles, or 5 mile radius. And you can see all the sex offenders that are registered living in that particular area. You'll not only see a map that will come up that will give the address where each sex offender lives, but there's a color picture of each of the sex offenders as well. And we suggest that you use that map and you don't go to that home. Now, 2 weeks ago, we did a sex offender sweep throughout the county, and we coordinated it so it would be right before Halloween, and we got the message out. We worked with the Indiana Department of Corrections, their parole officers, and probation as well. And we told all the probationers and all those that are on the registry that we are going to highly discourage you from participating in Halloween.
Okay.
Now, those that are on probation or parole, terms of probation or parole specifically prohibit them from being involved in trick-or-treat. But those that are not on parole or probation anymore, there's no law that says that they can't. We discourage them and remove all temptation to not get involved, not turn your light on, and not encourage any children to come to your home. But we also encourage parents to use that sex offender registry for exactly what it's designed for, to keep their children safe. And
I think that's genius.
Phenomenal.
I've actually used it before, just because I'm one of those paranoid parents.
No, I'm with you. You're a good parent.
So I think I think it's fabulous, and it's very easy to use. I've actually never considered it for Halloween, just because I've done it a couple times over the years, and but I think that's brilliant. And I realize people make mistakes, but when it involves children, I think there should be a law. They should not be allowed, period, to hand out candy. That's scary, and not only dangerous, it's different. They clearly struggle, so that's tempting them with something they can't deal with, and that puts our kids at risk to think, oh yeah, I remember that was funny, that person was funny at the door or something, and not feel like that's a stranger to them if they see them somewhere else outside of Halloween. So I would certainly say go to that website and just avoid that at all costs if you
Sheriff,
can.
is the just on a side note, around our LaPorte County area, do folks normally put their lights on? Because in some communities they do, to say that yes, we are giving out candy.
Yes.
Is that how that works?
Do not go to a home where the light is not on. Because the light is an indication that they are participating in Halloween. There are some communities this evening that they'll be starting their trick or treat before it actually gets dark, but that still is a signal. If you see a porch light on, the front door open, maybe somebody standing there with a bowl of candy, that obviously is an indication that they are participating in it. But certainly don't go to a home where the light is not on. We also encourage parents that if you're at a home where you're not familiar with the people that live there, don't just allow your young children to go up to the door, go up there with them as well. We see a number of parents that will go home to home and pull up out front, open the doors, allow their kids to run up to the house. Don't do that. You never want to let your kids out of arm's reach of you. With that being said, we don't want to scare people unduly. Halloween is not a time where traditionally we see kids getting kidnapped. That just doesn't happen. And in the 28 years of law enforcement, I can never think of an incident in LaPorte County where a child was kidnapped or pulled into a home against their will while they were trick-or-treating. But we want to make sure that this isn't the year that happens as well. And technology is great. Use it to your advantage and use it to help keep your family and your children safe.
Absolutely. I'm curious to know, just out of curiosity, what are the most common calls police would expect? Is there a typical Halloween thing?
Yes.
You know, the egging, the toilet papering.
How
Are those
about
real
this?
things
I'm gonna
that
throw
go
this
on
out there.
Halloween?
Scary clown.
Well, that's something else I wanted to
Crazy.
ask. I'm
Absolutely.
curious, are there recommendations against that for adults? I know some adults dress up with their kids, and I think that's cute too. And
Yes. It's kind of a troubling time for us. It's not illegal to dress as a clown. And contrary to what some people are demanding, that we just have a roundup of all people dressed in clown costumes, we can't do that.
No, you can't.
That would be crazy.
It would.
That
It
would be ridiculous. Yeah.
50 creepy clowns
Yeah.
at the sheriff's
That's like a
office.
nightmare.
Hey, we were just having fun.
Yeah. There's no law that says that you can't dress as a clown, but please exercise common sense. There's a hysteria about that, and just don't do it. Avoid temptation as an adult dressing up as a clown. I know I've talked to some parents that said that they were thinking about dressing their child as a clown, but they're no longer going to do it.
Really?
Every Monday morning we have an administrative staff meeting at work, and we talk about what happened over the weekend. We talk about what happened over the previous week. And one of our commanders this morning said that he had taken his family trick-or-treating in their neighborhood this weekend. And there were 3 grown men walking through the neighborhood dressed as clowns with real baseball bats. And he said he walked up to them and said, "Come on, guys, what are you thinking? Why are you doing this?" And they're carrying the bats because they say they have to keep themselves safe. My guess is because it's a very safe residential neighborhood. The only reason they felt they had to keep themselves safe is because they were dressed as clowns.
Right.
They were expecting a confrontation.
Right.
And fortunately, there were no incidents involving it, but common sense isn't as common as it used to be. So just avoid the
Very
problems.
true. Very true.
And don't dress like that, because there is a hysteria about that right now. You talked, Mary, about some of the common calls that we get in Halloween time.
Yes.
It depends. And it depends on what the weather's like. And it depends if trick or treat falls on a weekend night, like a Friday or Saturday, because the kids are out a little bit later on those nights. It's good for us. We always like when Halloween trick or treat is on a weeknight, because we know they're not going to be out quite as late. Traditionally, we see the eggings, and we see theft or vandalism of some of the Halloween decorations. We see some toilet paper being thrown in trees and yards, that kind of thing. We would say was kind of good, clean fun. We see some people that ring doorbells and run. We see occasionally some of the bigger kids taking candy from younger kids.
Oh,
that's why,
mean.
yes, it is. That's why we encourage everybody to be with their children and keep them accountable, and be there to help to keep them safe as well. One of the things that we've seen in years, and I noticed on the way driving over here, I'm kind of making my visual observations. The leaves aren't quite as far along as they usually are at this time of year. We a lot of times will see huge leaf piles accumulating, especially in the municipalities where there's a scheduled leaf pickup, and we'll see these huge piles, and we see kids playing in those leaf piles. And although we've not seen this happen recently, but that's a temptation for drivers to drive through those leaf piles. And if there are kids that are tunneling in there and playing, that just has tragedy written all over it. So keep your kids out of those leaf piles. And by all means, if you're driving along and you have the temptation to drive through a leaf pile, don't do it, because you never know if there are kids playing inside. And every year somewhere in the country, there's a child that's hit, seriously injured, or killed because somebody decides to drive through a leaf pile because they think it would be fun to spread that through the neighborhood, and they didn't realize that there was a child inside there.
I remember as a young kid going to Catholic school, and my mother and father were adamant about respect. And, I was the spaz of all the 6 kids, as you could only imagine, right? But I always listened to my parents, but they also would sit us down as we would go out for Halloween or different events and say, all right, I expect you to act with the utmost respect, when it came to egging, or there's a lot of people out there that still smash pumpkins and just do weird things.
Well, I feel like, that's not very nice, but egging, that can really ruin stuff.
Completely.
So,
Siding,
I think,
cars, it can eat paint away.
I think that's, a smashed pumpkin, that stinks and makes a mess, and it's mean, but it's not going to ruin something. The egging, I can't believe people actually do that. So I was just curious if they really did.
It does happen. Yes.
I think that's so mean, because it will ruin very expensive stuff if you're talking the paint and stuff.
But talking to your children, your grandchildren, whatever you may do, and say, guys, this is not acceptable. And there are, if you do this, guess what? There's going to be some
consequences.
Big consequences.
Well, Sheriff Boyd, I like that you brought up the don't carry a candle thing. I wanted to ask, are there issues with maybe people lighting their own jack-o'-lanterns at their own house? Costumes, they blow in the wind so easy. Could that pose a risk for trick-or-treaters coming up to a house where there's already jack-o'-lanterns lit?
It potentially could. I've not heard of a problem like that. Where we see most of the problems are when there are big leaf piles on the streets and cars pull up and they park on top of the leaf piles, and it's so warm underneath, like the catalytic converter. We've seen actually leaf piles start on fire and car fires as a result of people parking on those leaf piles.
I never would think of that.
Yeah. So we have seen that. So they need to be careful about parking. That's another reason not to drive into the leaf piles as well.
Yeah,
absolutely wonderful.
I love the trick or treat tradition and just the costume parties in general, but I think it's definitely important to point out we want these festivities to stay fun and safe. And if there are any concerns, if someone's having a concern that maybe is taking their child trick or treating, should they call the police right away, or should they just kind of be observant?
Oh, if they're in fear, if they think that there's something that's occurring that just doesn't seem right, err on the side of caution and call your local police department, or call 911 if you don't know what the telephone number is. By all means, if you see it, report it. We encourage people to do that all the time and allow the experts to come out and assess it. And it may be something completely innocuous, but it might be something that leads to greater things. Or maybe we're looking for somebody that caused problems in another neighborhood and they've resurfaced in yet another. And that may be the lead that we need.
That's what I was thinking. A perfect example was the gentleman dressing as clowns with the baseball bats. I would be a little freaked out if I was walking with my young kids and saw that. I'd be a little nervous if I didn't know who they were. Obviously, if they were in my neighborhood and I lived there, I would maybe know who they were. But I would be very nervous as a parent to walk around with my kids like that. Just knowing all of the stuff that, is going around.
I would be afraid to even walk up to them or even say anything, because I would be like,
no, I know.
You don't know, it's 50-50. Is this person for real? But I have what the sheriff said in the back of my mind going, are you kidding me? You're an adult and this is how you are
Right. I think that's perfect.
But there are a lot of you, and I use the word unique very politically correct in this world, but there are a lot of unique people out there that love to push buttons and love to stir up the trouble. So I would say
they look for a reaction, and they get a reaction, and they scream because they got a reaction.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, yes, that's definitely, that would be scary. So I would be much more inclined to just call the police if I thought we needed to. But do you know local times of trick-or-treating in the area? I don't want to put you on the spot for it. I know there's so many, but
there are, and that's one of the issues that we have at the sheriff's office is we have so many different communities that are having their trick-or-treating that either happened Friday night, Saturday night, last night, or tonight. There were trick-or-treating that started in LaPorte County several weeks ago. There were some individual communities, neighborhoods that had them, but I will tell you how we're dealing with it. We do have a number of communities that we know are having trick-or-treating tonight. Rolling Prairie, La Crosse, Wanata, Hanna, Fish Lake, LaPorte, Michigan City, Michiana Shores, just to name a few. Some of those communities we at the Sheriff's Office are responsible for. Some we're not. Of course, like Michigan City, the city of LaPorte, they have their own police departments that are responsible for that. The town of Westville, the town of Kingsford Heights has their own police department. Trail Creek has their own police department. But we're putting on extra patrols this evening, and we're even putting on extra patrols for nothing but subdivisions and those individual neighborhoods that are having their trick-or-treating. There are a lot that are up and down Wozniak Road, and we'll have an extra car assigned to nothing but the subdivisions along Wozniak Road tonight. And we're going to have those extra patrols out between 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock this evening. I know the city of Michigan City, their trick-or-treating, I believe, is 5 to 7. The city of LaPorte is 6 to 8. Most of the individual towns, the incorporated towns like La Crosse, Wanata, they're from 6 until 8 this evening. There are a few that are 5 to 7. Some are even from 4 to 6 because they like to keep those daylight hours. But I wish I had a list, but if I did, it would be too long to even go through it.
I certainly,
WIMS
that makes
Radio,
perfect
under the events tab, and on Facebook and on Twitter, we evolve over the last several weeks, we do have what is up there for
Posting them.
Our listening audience here and beyond.
I think it's great. I think you're right. It would be very difficult to state every one of the times and the dates and everything. But I do find it interesting how well planned out you guys are, already planning out exactly, to make sure that everybody is covered and that we're safe.
You have to.
Yeah.
We the term that we use at the Sheriff's Office is we plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Some of it is, quite frankly, out of our control, but our presence serves as a wonderful deterrent, and it also helps to keep people safe. We get a lot of positive feedback that members of the public will call or send a social media message or an email saying, "Hey, I saw a police car in our neighborhood during trick or treat. Boy, it really slowed this one vehicle down, or it really made everybody stop and realize that you're here to help keep us safe," and it helped give us a calm, easy feeling with trick or treating.
I want to throw this out there too. Please, if you are out there, a lot of us do appreciate our local police departments, our sheriff's office. God bless them. All the men and women that are out there, their families, they are real people as well. This is the time, if you've never done it, to actually get on your Facebook, your Twitter, you follow these people along, but message them and thank them.
Or tell them.
Say, hey,
tell
thank
them. You
I
see
do
them
that
out and
every
about.
time.
Tell them. I'm curious. So when you go trick-or-treating with your kids, do you dress up?
No.
Do you go as a cop? I'm just curious.
I go as a normal civilian.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
Right?
That's what you
Yes,
dress
I do.
as. Just the
That
dad.
is a spin.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's
She's gonna go,
fantastic.
Rick, you go as a radio guy?
Yeah.
Yes, Mary.
What does a radio guy look like? Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think that's great. I do love it. I
crazy.
hope everybody has a great time and is safe and keeps it fun, because the kids do remember these things forever. We do make it a big family event. It's my kids and sometimes their friends and my sister's kids, and even my parents go with us. We all go and,
Make memories.
yeah, it's really fun, and it's always sad to me when someone doesn't do that, or they just send their kid out. That kid might be having fun, but they're either walking around alone, or they're finding someone else who was just sent out, and that necessarily doesn't always lead to good fun. It can lead to a little bit of trouble.
And a little spin on the young ones that might be at home or can't go out for whatever the circumstances are. Let them be involved and let them hand out, if you can, let them hand out the candy to the young ones that are coming to the door. At least make them a part of it. The sad part is, and I look at you with your young daughter who's 16, when my two daughters who are 18 and 22, when it was that first Halloween and they didn't want to go trick-or-treating anymore, I was like, oh my gosh, honey, we're getting old.
What are we going to do?
And then we walk out with our neighbors and all that.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
Yes, you would be the scary house then that sits outside begging people to come.
Well, here's what we do. And I remember we leave giant bowls if we take off with our neighbors for like an hour.
Yeah.
And I always put a nice note, please take 1 or 2 pieces. And I was that kid that went up and went,
No one's here? Yeah. No, I think that's terrible.
You know that's going to happen. I was always good, but 3, 4, 5 pieces.
I'm glad you brought up the individually pieces of candy. I know not everyone checks their kids' trick-or-treat bags, which always shocks me.
Yes.
I think, my kids, of course they're impatient and they want their candy, but I don't care. And yes, we know the people most of the time that we're going to, but people move in and out. This might be a house you've never been to, and they're perfectly fine, but you still should check. Can you tell us, or maybe first-time parents taking out their kids for the first time, what should they be looking for when they're looking at the
I'm really glad that you brought it up because when it comes to Halloween safety, just going trick-or-treating in and of itself is one thing, but the real work comes when you've got to go through and inspect the candy. Yes. I would suggest that each parent dump out the candy on the kitchen table, living room floor, whatever it might be, and look at each individual piece. And if it's not in a wrapper, throw it away. If it's in a wrapper that has a rip or a tear, a mark in it, just doesn't look right, throw it away. I'm sure there are hundreds of other pieces there as well. And I will throw this out for any parents that are out there. I'm willing to sacrifice myself. If you're not sure if the candy is safe for human consumption, please drop it off at the sheriff's office, and I will be happy to
I'm
taste
loving
it.
this.
Yes.
Well, the other
really
thing I want to throw out there,
funny.
and I'm so glad you brought this up, Sheriff, are the pieces of, and I'm just saying this, I'm not trying to go onto any company's throat, but for example, the bubble gum that's got the wrapper where it just twists on the ends.
Yes.
Anything like that, I remember being a little kid, and I was like this with my daughters. It's gone. Sorry. Yeah. You throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. The rip thing would drive me nuts. And I have to say, any fruit, even if you know the people, I'm sorry, it's gone. That's just my opinion.
It really depends. I mean, the fruit, it depends what it is and where we got it from. But you know, any homemade treats and stuff for people out there, that might be, you might have the best of intentions, but please do not make treats. It's too dangerous, and you're going to be spending a lot of time and a lot of money making these, even if you have the absolute best of intentions. And as a parent, I would not let my kid consume that.
Ever. Right. Like homemade popcorn balls, that kind of thing.
It's a wonderful thought, risky. But it's too risky, especially in a community where you don't know every single neighbor, you know, and it's not realistic to always know every one of your neighbors because people do move in and out. And, you know, especially when you're talking like down, you know, here in Michigan City or in LaPorte, it's a much larger scale area. And, you know, the kids want to keep going. They don't want to stop around your own block half the time, you know. So
well, there's also a lot of people that are in their wiser years that give out dimes, nickels, pennies. And I'm thinking about this as a parent. A lot of times parents let their children, as we all were saying, as they're walking the route, let their kids put their hand in the bag and grab a piece of candy. You have to be very careful because if there's loose money and or whatever, and they open up, it just, I know it sounds far-fetched, but it's not.
Well, it is.
And I mean, you have to watch those open type things. I mean, the money's cool, but
yeah, I mean, and I think that's a great option for somebody that can't maybe get out and says, well, I have all these jars of pennies. Great. Kids love that. They really do. But you know, you could just dip in your hand in there. Might grab a piece of candy that has had something, you know, put on it, or
make sure your little ones wash their hands.
You know,
yes,
no,
trick or treating is
very
dirty.
I was thinking that too.
Very dirty. Definitely wash when you go home.
Carry your hand sanitizer with you.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, we've not had an incident in LaPorte County that I can ever recollect where there were shards of glass or a needle or a razor blade in candy, like you hear every year that there's, you know, a rumor or a story that's happened somewhere. I can't think of a substantiated case, but that's not to say that can't happen. All the more reason to just keep a close eye out and look at that candy, examine it real closely. It's just not worth a very small piece of candy taking a chance on it. Throw it away.
Right.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Throw it
There
away.
is plenty more. I always find it a little funny that, I mean, and I think it's just the fun. It's the tradition of doing it. But, you know, the kids get so excited or so angry if you are throwing some out or you won't let them eat it. Most of our kids eat candy a lot more frequently than they probably should. It isn't like they only get it on Halloween,
Right.
you know, but they get so excited about it. And it is fun. I know, man, my littlest ones were, I joked that they've already acted like they're on a sugar high. They're so excited about it.
Spassies, like a Ricky
They're just
Federici.
a little overexcited about knowing trick or treat is tonight.
I know.
One of my kids kept saying, I can't believe we even have school. Why do we have school today?
Teachers
It's a
feel the
holiday."
same way. Because they can't control their
It's so
children.
true.
And the next thing they're
I
like,
know.
It's certainly,
Yes.
it's absolutely true.
yeah.
You know, so it is a great time. We want everyone to get out and
Absolutely.
enjoy themselves and laugh and enjoy it. Are there guidelines? I did want to ask this
1 minute left.
about dogs. Are people taking their pets out with them? Are there guidelines
Sometimes
that
they-
are just kind of...
I would suggest not doing that because you know, dogs will see someone in a costume that might scare them and they could lash out. But I have seen some pretty cool.
I take my weenie dogs out, and they're usually dressed
We've
in
got
a
winter
costume,
dogs too.
Do you?
Yes, two
I
mini
love
dogs.
them. They're
We
the
did a
best.
European final broadcast, European market in Doolin Chamber this past weekend. They had this beautiful big dog, but they dressed it up as a lion.
Oh, how
Blue,
cute!
beautiful
Yeah.
blue eyes, and it was stellar. In fact, I put a video of it up on on WIMS's Facebook.
Very
But
cute.
I'm with you on the animals. I'm all about our little animals.
I love to take my, but I can see too, and even people with big dogs, as long as you know that they're crowd friendly, I think would be the biggest thing. If you have a dog that's uncertain of strangers, and then there are going to be people out in masks and scary music in some houses and stuff like that.
People jumping out, and the dog naturally is defensive of the family, protective, and we have seen some animal bites, but I've also seen some really neat animals incorporated into the costume.
I love that.
Yeah, it is really neat, but you need to be very, very careful of your dog's temperament before you include them.
And owners are responsible for their pets like they are their kids.
Yes, you betcha. And there is a leash law.
On behalf of us all at Gerard Media LLC, Younger Life Live, we'd like to thank our LaPorte Hospital for their great sponsorship. Sheriff Boyd.
Thank you
there
so
you
much,
go.
Sheriff Boyd.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Happy holiday.
pleasure.
Thank you to you and your fellow officers, not only here locally, but all around the country.
Yep.
Thank
I
you.
hope
Bless
your
you
ghouls
all.
and goblins have fun tonight too. I hope you have
so, too.
fun. Yeah.
Weenie
Thank
dogs,
you.
you too. I'm Rick Federici.
I'm Mary Anthony. Thanks.
AM 1420, WIMS, Michigan City, a Gerard Media Company station.